right now. Joining me from the house of the Seahawks is none other than SI's and NBC's and the MMQB's Peter King, back on the Rich Eisen Show. Thanks for joining me, Peter.
No problem, Rich. How are you?
I am doing well. It sure looks like the Seahawks are back to their Super Bowl winning caliber ways. How are you feeling? What is the sense with your boots on the ground up there?
I think that with the secondary healthy again, with Cam Chancellor back healthy now for a couple of weeks, and obviously Bobby Wagner, who's a huge, huge impact player on this defense. His speed, his sideline-to-sideline speed and playmaking has just been huge for them. And to me, I think that is, I think that's one story. But I think the other story here this week is going to be whether they can protect Russell Wilson with with an offensive line that's got some injuries to it. So I'm not in the camp of those who basically say that this is going to be a walkover for Seattle. I don't see it that way at all, because Seattle's going to have to make enough plays on offense for it to be a walkover, and they're going to get an awful lot of pressure from that Arizona front.
What do you make of Ryan Lindley, though? I know that the Bruce Arians, Marshall Faulk nicknamed him the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
How much whispering is he going to have to do to get Ryan Lindley up to speed against the Seattle defense that's playing just as well as Arizona's?
Well, I like what Bruce Arians. I mean, I talked to Arians about this, in the wake of obviously Lindley having to play. I said, "What did you say to Ryan Lindley, before he went out there to win a game that you had to win?" And he said, I basically said to him, "I don't want you to be a game manager. I want you to be a game winner." And you wonder why players like to play for Bruce Arians? Bruce Arians is not buying into the line out there that Ryan Lindley can't play. He's buying into the line that we're going to help Ryan Lindley make plays. And it's like earlier in the season, Arians told me, he said, the most important guy on this team, the most valuable player on this team, is not Larry Fitzgerald. It's the guy who's going to have to take Larry Fitzgerald's place when he gets hurt. And I think that's so wise in today's day and age. I mean, the Giants have put 22 guys on injured reserve this year. The injured reserve numbers, are huge again, as always. And so it's who has the depth during the course of the year to survive these things. And I think that Ryan Lindley, he's not a great quarterback. We all know that. I mean, but I do think that Arians and the Cardinals are going to try to find ways to mask that on Sunday.
Peter King of the MMQB.com joining me right now. Peter, your thoughts on the Cutler benching?
I would definitely have done it. I would be playing Fales instead of the alternative that obviously Jimmy Clausen has shown. And who knows, maybe he's a lot better now. But, we've seen a lot of Jimmy Clausen. I'd rather see 8 quarters of David Fales to see what they have there with that sort of prospect. But, Rich, I think that the reason why it's bad right now to say, A, if you're another team, you would never take Jay Cutler, and B, that Jay Cutler will never play another down in Chicago. Everybody's just got to step back a little while. There's no need to make those decisions right now. You have to get to the off season. You have to see, first of all, who's going to be making those decisions. Is Phil Emery going to be in place?
Yeah.
Is Mark Trestman going to be in place? I mean, my guess is that one or more of those guys are going to be gone. So who's going to be in their shoes to make those calls? And I also think, even though Jay Cutler, in this era of pass happiness, has never had a 90 quarterback rating, whatever you think of stats, I mean, it's pretty damning to say he's never had a 90 quarterback rating in his career. But I also think that you've got to play quarterback with somebody. If you're Ken Wisenhunt in the Tennessee Titans, if you're whoever's going to run the New York Jets, You can't just say, I'm not taking a chance on Jay Cutler. Well, maybe you're not, but you better investigate it first, because you're also not getting Marcus Mariota in the draft if you don't have the first pick.
Peter King, I've got 90 seconds left. What do you make of the news that my alma mater is opening up a Brinks truck, or backing it up reportedly for Jim Harbaugh? What do you make of this news and his future?
As somebody who toured Michigan twice with both of my daughters, neither of whom went there, and still provides me angst to this day, because I think it's just the perfect place to go to college and all that. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of sadness about that Michigan has to be such desperados to basically throw the biggest contract that any coach has ever seen, we think, in football coaching history, at Jim Harbaugh. But that's the reality of the situation. Rich, I would really ask you two questions about Harbaugh and Michigan. Number one, he's got to have almost a different kind of coaching staff if he goes to Michigan, because they've got to be recruiters maybe more than they have to be teachers of football. And I mean, that's a different coaching staff than you're going to have in the NFL. And then the second thing, really, does Jim Harbaugh want to spend 40% of his life worrying about if John Doe from Fremont, Ohio, is going to go to Michigan or going to go to Ohio State? If I'm him, I'd rather stay in the NFL. But again, money makes the world go round, so we'll see.
Yeah, it certainly works for Nick Saban.
Well, yeah, but Rich, he's got a much different thing. He's got a coaching staff in place, and I don't know how many of those guys are with him at Miami or anything like that. But I just think you need a totally different kind of staff. Plus, I think you need a different kind of staff at Michigan than you had at Stanford. I mean, Kobe Fleener and Andrew Luck and those guys. And I'm not dissing Michigan in any way, shape, or form. But all I'm saying is that Michigan is more of, you got to go compete with Alabama for players there. Stanford and Alabama are not competing for some of the same kind of players, but certainly not all.
Peter, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Already look forward to the next time.
All the best, Rich. Take care.
You bet. That's Peter King of the MMQB.com.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.